Hi guys, it's Amber from Amber Eats Books, and I am back again with another tag video. Like I told you in the last few tag videos, same attire because I'm pre-filming. Anyway, today's tag video is the I Dare You book tag, and I was tagged by John at John the Bookish Gnome. I will leave his channel as well as the original creators down below. I was so excited to be tagged in this one because it seems like so much fun. So let's get into it. This tag has a couple of rules. The first is you must be honest. The second is you must answer all of the questions. And the last is you must tag 4 people. Question number 1, what book has been on your shelf the longest? And that book is going to be The Great Stories of the Masters. This is an anthology of a whole bunch of people. I bought this when I was like 17 or 18, and I started reading it. I think I even dog-eared where I left off. I started reading it. I got to page 61 and I never picked it back up. I felt like at the time I was not ready for it. Now, as a more seasoned reader, I think I would get a lot out of it, and it is on my books to hopefully get to at some point this year. Question number 2, what is your current, last, and next read? So my current read, hold on, I'm looking for it in my pile of books down here. My current read is Assassin's Quest by Robin Hobb. My last read before that was The Sculptor by Scott McCloud. And my next read, I'm thinking, will be The Blood Mirror by Brent Weeks. So hopefully. Question number 3, what book did everyone like but you hated? I didn't hate this book. I just did not see what the big deal was about, and that was A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. I read it. It was okay. It didn't blow me away or anything, but everyone else seems like obsessed with that whole series. Question number 4, what book do you keep telling yourself you will read but probably won't? Many books on my classic shelves. I will probably get to them eventually. I probably will, but they just keep sitting there and keep staring at me and keep intimidating me, so I don't know when I will ever pick them up. Number 5, what book are you saving for retirement? None of them. I hope to get to them before retirement. I hope to get to them next week, all of them, but I know that that's not possible. But I'm really not saving any. Life is short, and I don't want to save any book for later in life because who knows if I'll make it there, you know? Question number 6, last page. Read it first or wait till the end. I never read the last page first. I will occasionally do this thing where I read the first line and the last line of a book at the same time, just to see. It's kind of fun to see how that goes. Sometimes it's like a very short little tiny story in itself, but I definitely do not read the last page. I don't want to be spoiled for anything. Number 7, acknowledgement, waste of paper and ink, or interesting aside. I don't mind acknowledgements. Some of them I find really interesting and other ones are just, you know, like whatever, but I don't mind them at all. Number 8, which book character would you switch places with? I would probably want to switch places with Evie from The Diviners by Libba Bray. I loved that book last year, and her character seems to have the most fun and the most action. I don't like the way she acted, but I would probably act a little differently if I was in her place. So she would definitely be one that would be fun to switch with, though. Number 9, do you have a book that reminds you of something specific in your life, like a person or a time? One book that I always think of that I think of that time period in my life, I was like 13, maybe 14, so I was definitely a teenager, and I remember reading 4 Past Midnight by Stephen King. This was probably my first Stephen King book, I want to say. My stepmom had a whole bunch of them, and she gave them to me and was like, yeah, go ahead, read them. This book was so creepy and weird at the time. I just remember being afraid to go to sleep at night. I have not read it since then, so this is a reread for sure that I will be doing hopefully sometime this year. Question 11, name a book you acquired in an interesting way. That would have to be Lacey's Story. I acquired this book not really in an interesting way, as far as I thought I had bought Lacey's Story from Goodwill, and then someone said, oh, have you looked at the hardcover underneath? And I was like, no, I haven't. And it was not Lacey's Story underneath this paper cover. It was, I think, Dan Brown book or something. So I had to reorder this book off of Amazon, and then it came, and it was a beautiful cover. And then I knew what the person was talking about, who said, hey, did you look under the dust jacket? So that was definitely a book that I will remember acquiring. Number 12, which book has been with you most places? I don't know. I don't really take books. I mean, I take books with me as I'm reading them, but like I don't reread so much that I just take books all over the place. I guess if I had to say, this one has been with me every place I've moved since I was 17 or 18. So it's probably been at least 6 or 7 different places that I've lived in. So this one has made its way around. Number 13, any required reading you hated in high school that wasn't so bad 2 years later? No, I loved reading in high school. I read everything I could get my hands on. I went to school back in the day when you still had English textbooks, and plays and short stories and everything were all crammed in there. And I would just read that for fun. Like, I read the entire textbook before we were even, you know, a month into school. And I would reread some of those stories as I was sitting in English class because, you know, sometimes the discussions were a little boring. But yeah, I never really hated anything I had to read. Number 14, used or brand new? I definitely buy used way more than I buy brand new. Number 15, have you ever read a Dan Brown book? Yes, I've read Angels and Demons, I've read The Da Vinci Code, and I believe I've read Deception Point. I've not read any since then. That was probably when I was around 18 or 19 as well. And I think every once in a while I would like to go back and revisit one of them, or even continue on with the Robert Langdon series, but I just haven't really done so. Number 16, have you ever seen a movie you liked better than the book? Yes, The Maze Runner. There's been quite a few book to movie adaptations where I just like the movie so much better. Even I will go as so far as to say I liked the first Harry Potter movie better than I liked the book. I actually started reading Harry Potter. I couldn't really picture what they were saying in that first book, so I went and watched the movie first, then went back and read the entire series of books. So definitely that's one of them that might be a little controversial, but let me see. Number 17, have you ever read a book that's made you hungry? Cookbook included. This cookbook right here, The Taste of Home cookbook. This is, I believe, yeah, a Reader's Digest. Everything in this, every single recipe that they have. I don't know. Every time I look in this book, I'm like, oh, I need to eat something because this is making me so hungry. Number 18, who is the person whose book advice you always take? I don't have any people in real life that I take every single book that they recommend me to heart. So there's not one single person. Here on BookTube, I have a couple of booktubers that I definitely read when they say, oh, this is a great book. I go ahead and read it. One person for middle grade that I love to check out for my kids is Richard from Richard's Book Nook. I love Connor from Connor O'Brien. I love his fantasy books that he picks up. Pretty much if he loves the fantasy book, I love the fantasy book, but there's been others like my Frederick Bachman books I got off of him. So pretty much most of the things that he says to pick up, I do. Tina from the Neverending Bookshelf, she's another fantasy twin of mine. I'm trying to think. Who else? Oh, Sylvia from Wish Fulfillment. If she says a book is really good, I normally want to run out and pick that one up. So I have a bunch more. I will probably do like a booktuber recommendations video in the next couple of weeks. That is something I definitely want to try to accomplish because I found so many new booktubers in the last few months. But those are just a few off the top of my head. And the last question, question 19, is there a book outside your comfort zone that you ended up loving? That would probably be Eat, Pray, Love. I did not think I was going to like this book. I don't normally read a ton of nonfiction, or at least at the time when I picked this up, I didn't. I'm starting to get more into nonfiction now. But at the time, I was reading almost no nonfiction at all when I picked this book up, and I actually really enjoyed it, and I got a lot out of it. Some of it was a little over the top in some areas, but the areas where I could gain some insight into just life and some of the things that she wrote and some of the lines that she wrote were just beautiful. So I really enjoyed it, and I didn't think I was going to. So that concludes my tag. I am definitely going to tag those 4 people. I'm going to kind of do a little research and see who has done this tag and who has not. I will put their names down below, and I will contact you if I have tagged you. I hope you guys have a great week and happy reading.